Hey everybody, I apologize for the meandering nature of this here podcast, but you know, I took a little break, I took a little nap, I took a little sleep, I took a little crap, and I took a little peep, and in the morning, when I logged onto the internet and logged onto Reddit, what I saw was that Dave Meltzer has posted his star rankings for the WrestleMania weekend, and what I found, for those of you who don't know, Dave Meltzer is the most respected wrestling journalist, possibly the only respected wrestling journalist. He's been doing it for like 40 years, and his star ratings are the ones that the wrestling community takes as gospel generally. His ratings are the big deal. They're the only reviews on wrestling that anyone really takes seriously. Dave Meltzer is the man. So I woke up this morning and I saw that he had posted his star ratings, and lo and behold, for the first time to my knowledge that I've ever seen, Dave Meltzer gave 2 5-star reviews in one show. Meltzer is notoriously stingy with 5-star reviews. I mean, this is a guy who, even the most perfect match you've ever seen, he'll give it like a 4.75 a lot of the time, and he really annoys people with it a lot. But he gave 2 5-star ratings on one show, and it was the Takeover show on Saturday, and wouldn't you believe it, the 2 matches that I gave 5-star ratings were the very same 2 matches that he gave 5-star ratings as well. So right there is your proof, people, that old Enlit G knows what he's talking about when he talks wrestling. Nobody could have predicted that Dave Meltzer would give 2 5-star ratings on one pay-per-view event, but I, in my infinite wrestling knowledge and wisdom, gave 2 5-star ratings to 2 matches that ended up being the very same 2 matches that Dave Meltzer gave on the same show, the thing with the 5 stars. I'm smart too! I'm smart too! I'm the new guy! I'm the new wrestling journalist supreme! I'm at least on the same level, possibly on an even higher level. Meltzer, baby, if you're ever ready to retire, I can take the reins. I think I've proven it at this point. That's why they call me Jesse Wrestling. And they do call me that, starting now. But I just thought that was cool that he gave the same scores that I did, and it's such a rare thing for him to give 1 5-star, let alone 2 in one night, and having to be the same thing. I just thought that was an interesting little tidbit. I just thought it was a kind of cool little thing to fucking point out here. But anyways, wrestling! So the next match of WrestleMania was Ronda Rousey's big debut. She used to be a very famous UFC fighter, very successful UFC fighter, until she lost a couple times and her star waned, as I guess it does. Man, UFC is weird. I mean, like, actual fighting sports are weird, where you lose once and you're basically done, it seems like. I mean, in the world I come from, the world of wrestling, you can fucking lose and be crushed and buried all the time, fucking every day of the year for 5 years. Then all of a sudden you get that Money in the Bank briefcase and you're on top of the world again. You're the world champion. That's the kind of America I want to believe in, the land of opportunities, and that's what wrestling is, and Ronda is smart enough to see that. She saw that her UFC career was waning. It was flickering out, and she said, no, I can't just disappear into obscurity. I can't be relegated to failure. I have to seek greener pastures. And what greener pasture is there than the land of professional wrestling? I mean, that's the same dream that I have. Whenever I feel like my life is hopeless, and I always feel that way. When I feel like I've made a terrible mistake in the path of my life, and my career is a hopeless vortex that will only ever suck my soul out of my body and leave me a broken man, I look on the wall and I've got this little lever, and the lever says break glass in case of emergency, and pull the lever, and the lever, you pull it, and it sends me to wrestling land. And I'll just go away, I'll hit the road, and I'll become a wrestler. I pull the lever and it opens up all the secret passageways and secret rooms in my house. The room behind the bookcase, it turns to the side, and the wall opens up behind the grandfather clock, and there's a pole that goes down into the wrestling cave, and you go down there and you've got the fucking emergency boots, and you put on the emergency wrestling boots, and you and it unlocks the WrestleMobile, and I jump in the driver's seat and I hit the road, brother. So Ronda Rousey is making her debut on WrestleMania, and this is a tag match. Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle versus Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. Kurt Angle, much like Ronda Rousey, is a man coming from the legit athletic background. He is a real Olympic gold medalist. He's long since proven himself as a wrestler. He's a legend as a wrestler as well as an Olympic, collegiate, amateur, whatever the fuck it's called. Both fake, real, he does it all. He's the best guy ever. Kurt Angle's a legend. Triple H is a legend. He's kind of a corporate legend. He kind of built himself up as a legend, but nonetheless, he's Triple H. He's a veteran. He's a master of the ring. Not the ring master, a master of the ring. The ring master is a whole different story, baby. I love Triple H. Triple H is one of those guys who's always been simultaneously overrated and underrated. He sort of overrates himself, and he always booked himself to be very strong. Not that he was necessarily a booker, but, I mean, he definitely had a lot of influence. So because of that, a lot of people would have called him overrated, but because so many people call him overrated, he's actually underrated. I've always thought Triple H was a great wrestler, and I've always thought he's a fucking good, cool guy. He's the coolest guy ever. His entrances are always cool as shit. He's always fucking on motorcycles, or he's dressed up as the Terminator, or he's fucking Conan one year, some shit. And Stephanie McMahon is fucking usually great too in her matches, whenever she rarely has a match. She was great in this match, and she always plays her part as the heel. The sniveling, like, bossy, arrogant, egomaniacal sociopath, but when you get her in a corner, suddenly she becomes a weak, cowardly bitch. Pussy, asshole, idiot, weasel. She's always played that part to perfection, and she looks like the fucking evil queen from Battletoads. She dresses like a fucking Power Ranger villain. I love it. So everyone was great in this match, including Ronda Rousey. What a debut for her. She was fantastic. You really got a sense of, oh, holy shit, this is a legit athlete. She's incredible. She runs faster than a fucking super fast cheetah snake. She jumps higher than an airplane. She could break the arm of an oak tree. Whenever someone comes into the WWE and debuts as like a part-timer or a person from another sport, and especially if they debut on a stage like WrestleMania, there's always the concern that they will be not good, or that they will have just gotten the job because of their name and their brand recognition, and they won't be ready for the physical demands of a wrestling match as opposed to their sport, because different sports are different. You can be great at one sport and still be bad at another. There's always that concern that she wouldn't be as good in her debut. And sure, up to this, her promos have not been very good. She's not quite there on the microphone yet. But I would say the concerns about her capabilities as a wrestler in the ring were all for naught. They've been completely blown away. She was fantastic in this match. Everyone was really good in this match. This was a fantastic match. It was honestly my match of the night. Possibly my favorite match of the whole weekend. Gargano and Ciampa was up there, just for its storyline and the emotions in it and the brutality of it. But in terms of like a sheer entertaining spectacle, wrestling does not get any better than this. This was amazing. Like, okay, if you were going to recommend wrestling to somebody, this is the kind of match that you would recommend to them. A non-wrestling fan could watch this match and lose their fucking minds. Am I swearing too much? I feel like I've hit my fuck quota for this podcast. I always get self-conscious that I'm inserting too many fucks into my dialogue and it starts to sound uneducated and ghetto, and reveals me for the fucking street trash that I am. Riff-raff, street rat, beat on the brat with the baseball bat. Oh yeah. I don't really know if I should go like into a play-by-play of this match. I don't really even remember the specific play-by-plays. It was just like one big prolonged explosion of fun. it starts off and, you know, they're fighting, and the Kurt Angle and the Triple H and the tag, and, you know, and at first, you know, Ronda can't get tagged in. They're holding it off in a while. She's chasing Stephanie around the ring. She explodes out of her corner like the Mach 5 and chases Stephanie down at top speeds at Warp 9. It was a long match, but it didn't feel long. Every part of it was really fun, and the match ends and with her, she finally gets Stephanie where she wants her, and, you know, she kicked Triple H's ass for a while. There was a point where it was her and Triple H in the ring, and Triple H was like, "I'm the game, I'll have to fight this girl," and she just beat the shit out of him. And it ended with her finally getting Stephanie into, like, a armbar lock and snapping her arm in half and killing her, and Stephanie, like, begging and pleading for her life, like, "No, please don't hurt me," and then she just kills her. Stephanie McMahon is dead, and that's how the match ended, and it was very fun. It was very enjoyable, and Ronda Rousey, you know, I remember there was a famous bit of mine, one of my favorite bits back when I was on the Procrastinators podcast, of me saying that I could beat Ronda Rousey in a fight. Because, yeah, she's the UFC champion or whatever. She's a big-time fighter, but she's still a girl. I could beat her in a fight, you know. Just shit-talking, making goofs and gaffes, making laughs. Well, that's what I thought back then. I'm gonna have to revise that statement now. I definitely think I could have beaten her in a fight back when she was just a fake UFC fighter, but now that she's a real professional wrestler, her power level has increased exponentially. Now I could not possibly beat her in a fight. Now that she's a wrestler and she's doing a sport that's real, she would destroy me, obviously. Female UFC fighter, bring them all on. That shit's fake. I'll take them all on at once. Female professional wrestler, I don't know, man. That's pretty powerful. I'm gonna have to take a rain check. I'm gonna have to swallow my pride and my ego when it comes to taking on Ronda Rousey, the pro wrestler, the WWE superstar. That's just a little bit too much Ronda for me to handle. That's too rowdy for me to take on. Her rowdiness levels are off the charts right now. She's practically a rowdy fucker cop killer at this point. But anyways, this match was fantastic, and if you get a chance to see it, I highly recommend that you do. It was a great time. It was an explosion of fun and entertainment. When Vince McMahon calls wrestling sports entertainment, this is what he's talking about. This was sports and entertainment combined in an atomic blast of radioactive madness. And I'm gonna give Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle versus Stephanie McMahon and Triple H a 5 stars out of 5, baby! That's my third 5-star thing of the weekend. 3 5 stars. You never would have seen that coming. Successful weekend in my mind, even if the rest of the pay-per-view is garbage. I don't care. That's 3 5-star matches for me. I was sports entertained. Dave Meltzer, by the way, gave that one a 4.25, so that's like a 4 1/4 star. So, as I was saying, Dave Meltzer is typically very hard on matches. He's not easily impressed, but even so, even he gave that one a pretty high score. Personally, I give that one an even higher score. I give it a 5 out of 5, baby. That's a 5-star match for me. And I'm the new Meltzer. Officially. I'm taking over his job, baby. From now on, my word is law. I've been preaching the ghetto gospel. So the next match was the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match with the New Day versus the Usos versus the Bludgeon Brothers. It was another triple threat, a tag team triple threat for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. And this one did not get a lot of time. It was kind of an afterthought on the card. Sadly, it feels like. Wasn't that spectacular or impressive of a match. It was an adequate match. It was a serviceable match, but it just didn't get enough time to really be anything special. You kind of feel bad for the Usos because they've been in the company for like 10 years and they've always been, you know, just kind of there. And just in this last year, they've sort of really finally hit their stride, and they've lost all the goofy face painting and the stupid dancing and all the kiddie stuff, and they've reinvented themselves as these hard-ass ghetto fuckboys who talk in rhyme and tell everybody they're gonna lock them up in their own they own their own penitentiary, the Uso Penitentiary. Maybe it's on their property sometimes. They lock people up in it and beat them up. That's what they do. And they've been on a roll. And they've been really cool for the first time in their 10-year career. I always hated the Usos. I always thought they were corny as fuck and boring in the ring and boring promos and can't tell them apart. I still can't tell them apart, but everything else has been drastically improved. They've been fantastic this last year since they reinvented themselves as the hardcore ghetto fuckboys with their own private penitentiary where they beat people up. So you feel bad for them because they've never gotten to be on the main card at WrestleMania. They've always been relegated to the kickoff show or the pre-show. And this year, for the first time, I believe, they get to be on the main card. This is their first actual WrestleMania match in like 10 years of being in the company. And unfortunately, it was just kind of there. It was like a 5-minute match. Nobody really got time to do anything cool or tell that cool of a story. And it was a triple threat match, so there's even more bodies in the ring with even less time to do everything cool between them. And it was just kind of an afterthought. So that sucks for them. They finally get this WrestleMania match, which they definitely deserve. And it was just kind of there. It was just kind of an afterthought. The New Day was there. The New Day is the New Day. They're always, fun. Big E's been killing it lately with the promos because like half the New Day got injured by the Bludgeon brothers, and so Big E was kind of on his own to cut like serious promos. They've been cutting the New Day is goofy and silly and kid friendly and all that stupid jazz. They're all, just millennial memes and Nickelodeon and Gak and fucking unicorn dicks. Hey guys, remember Dragon Ball Z? That's the New Day's gimmick in a nutshell. So they don't really get a chance to be serious all that often, but this feud with the newly minted badass Usos has really elevated them both in terms of seeming like legit fighters and cutting serious promos for once. And Big E's promos have been awesome. And I've really been enjoying the matches between New Day and the Usos. And this could have been another classic between the two of them, but unfortunately the Bludgeon brothers were just kind of shoved in there, and it was made a shitty 5-minute triple threat match. Kind of a disservice to everyone in the match, especially the New Day and the Usos. But I do want to talk about the Bludgeon brothers, because even though they were shoehorned into this match, and the match kind of sucked because of it, I love the Bludgeon brothers. I think the gimmick is the coolest thing ever. The Bludgeon brothers are Luke Harper and Erick Rowan, who used to be Bray Wyatt's cronies. They were members of the Wyatt family. The Wyatt family is long since broken up, and Bray Wyatt is now woken or rejuvenated and healed and cleansed of the succubus Sister Abigail by the healing powers of the Lake of Reincarnation. He's now a disciple of the woken one, Matt Hardy. So the Wyatt family is long since disbanded, and the former members, Erick Rowan and Luke Harper, have been pretty aimless ever since, so they've teamed back up as their new gimmick, the Bludgeon Brothers. And the Bludgeon Brothers, they come to the ring to this really scary butt rock. That's the only way I can describe their theme song. Scary butt rock. And they walk to the ring with big hammers. They have these two giant mallets that they kill people with. They're the Bludgeon Brothers. They bludgeon people. They kill people with mallets. And you kind of ignore the fact that the mallets are clearly made of like plastic and don't look like they have the weight or heft of real mallets, but that doesn't matter. They're the Bludgeon Brothers. They kill people with hammers. They are literally the Hammer Bros from Super Mario. And it's hilarious, and it's goofy, and it's great, and I love it. It's the perfect retarded wrestling gimmick. The fucking Hammer Bros! I love it. And they come to the ring with, like, scary skull masks, and their clothes look like they raided Kane's closet and took all of the old Kane outfits that he doesn't wear anymore and stitched them together into pants. It's like Kane was doing a scientific experiment to try and clone himself, and he accidentally added an extra ingredient to the concoction: hammers. And thus, the Bludgeon brothers were born. Using their stupid superpowers, Luke Harper and Erick Rowan have dedicated their lives to beating people up and bludgeoning people with hammers. So this match was a forgettable piece of shit, despite the fact that I like all three teams in the match. The match itself was just kind of mediocre. The Bludgeon Brothers won. They're the tag champs now for SmackDown. I'm going to give this one 2 stars. Oh, and hey, how about that? I've just went over to my Dave Meltzer tab here, and that's also the same score that Dave Meltzer gave. I'm on a fucking roll, man. I'm on a roll tonight with the accidentally giving similar scores to Dave Meltzer. I don't fucking know what the hell I'm talking about. Okay, I'm gonna stop looking at these Dave Meltzer scores before they mess my head up. I don't want to be influenced by anything, you know what I mean? I want my scores to be pure.